Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Phil Krinsky with the Phoenix Police Department's Public Affairs Bureau. The information, audio, video, and pictures you're about to see are intended to provide details as we currently understand them of an officer-involved shooting that occurred around 8:45 a.m. on December 21st, 2022. This video may contain strong language as well as graphic images which could be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. Body-worn cameras are used by all officers assigned to patrol and several specialty units. Per policy, they are worn at mid-torso level and capture the view of the line of sight from that perspective. It is important to note that the camera lens is fixed and does not capture everything seen or experienced by the officer. When activated, both audio and video turn on. The body-worn camera has a buffer of video without audio for 30 seconds prior to activation. This feature is designed to capture incidents that happen suddenly when the officer doesn't immediately activate the camera. This incident began in the area of 47th Avenue and Vineyard Road when officers attempted to pull over a vehicle involved in an unrelated investigation. The vehicle did not stop, and officers followed the vehicle to the area of 41st and Lydia Lanes. When the vehicle stopped, a man got out of the car, ran, and climbed a wall into a residential backyard. Officers searched the area and found the man as he reappeared in the front yard of a home. The man had a gun in his hand. Officers gave the man directions to drop the gun. The man raised the gun in the direction of the detective, and that was when the officer-involved shooting occurred. Here's the body-worn camera footage of one of the officers involved in the shooting. The man with the gun is in front of the garage door. The detective is the man to the left wearing jeans and a protective vest.
Hey! Put your hands up! Hey, he's by the gun. Watch out. He's... All right, keep it. He's got his gun to his head. Just step back over here, man. He's got his gun to his head. We got a gunpoint. We got him right here, laying down. Let's just put out a 9982. We fired. Okay, we're gonna help you. Put the gun down. We will help you.
After the shooting, the man held the gun to his head as he moved towards a side gate. Here's the body-worn camera footage from the detective involved in the shooting. His body-worn camera was not activated until after the shooting, but it captures the man moving with the gun to his head.
Alright, is he point that gun at anybody else? We have one direction. You're my vehicle operator.
Members of the Special Assignments Unit arrived and negotiated with the man for approximately 3 hours until he dropped the gun and was detained. The man was taken to the hospital, but it was later determined he did not suffer any injuries from the shooting. The firearm used by the man was recovered. There was no evidence to show the man had fired the weapon. A vehicle and a garage door were struck by police gunfire. There were no injuries to officers or any community member. The officer involved in the shooting has been with the department for 7 years and is assigned to the South Mountain Precinct. The detective involved in the shooting has been with the department for 22 years and assigned to this Tactical Support Bureau. This incident is the subject of a criminal investigation.
Okay, so they talk about how there was a separate investigation going on. They attempted to stop the person or the vehicle that was in relation to this incident, and they did not stop. So it looked like they were over in here.
Not stop, and officers followed the vehicle to the area of 47th Avenue and Vineyard Road when officers attempted to pull over a vehicle involved in an unrelated investigation. The vehicle did not stop, and officers followed the vehicle to the area of 41st and Lydia Lanes.
All right. So that's a really good distance for someone to go without stopping. That is fucking fleeing, in my opinion. Looking at the Arizona Family news site, here's an article for this incident. I feel like sneezing. Hold on. Excuse me. Okay. Where's it at? All right, so they spotted the vehicle, like they said, 47th Avenue and Vineyard Road, that was related to a separate investigation. They attempted to stop the driver, who was identified as 42-year-old Jennifer Covington, but she turned into a neighborhood. Police say that Covington eventually stopped, which was when the suspect got out and started running away. The suspect is Jesus Banuelos, age 30. Of course, you see what happened there. Covington was arrested for unlawful flight from a police officer. Another woman was also in the car, but she was interviewed by officers after the incident and released. So 3 total people inside that vehicle, it looks like. And the guy takes off running. He's the one who has the gun. No telling what else was in that vehicle that could have been ditched. No telling what was on him as he took off running and he could have ditched. It does not say anything about this guy's criminal background or anything like that. However, I am willing to bet that this is not the first time this guy has been involved in the criminal justice system. Not the first time he's been arrested. I would not be surprised at all to find out if this dude was out on bond, was on probation, or out on parole. Sadly, that's a common thing, is people get out on bond or they're on probation or parole and they're out committing more crimes. This is the 62nd officer-involved shooting in Maricopa County and 93rd overall in Arizona this year, which at time of this incident was December 21st, 2022. I don't know what Arizona finished out with. This was so close to the end of the year. It could be that they ended the year with 93 officer-involved shootings for the entire state. And could be they ended with 62 for Maricopa County. I don't know that for sure. For all I know, there's probably some other shooting somewhere in Arizona. Phoenix police, and I've mentioned this before, not just Phoenix police, but Phoenix. Phoenix seems like a violent fucking place. There's all kinds of stupid ass people doing stupid shit, making the police have to shoot them. I don't necessarily think that's a place where I'd want to go live at. Alright, jumping into this. So I guess at this point the dude has already jumped out the vehicle and ran. I don't know if anyone else is inside this vehicle. I wish they would have played a little bit more of the duration of this incident to give us a better understanding of what's going on. Because I have no idea if the 2 women are still inside this car. I would hope not. I would hope that after this dude jumped and ran that they started to conduct a felony traffic stop on this vehicle, a high-risk traffic stop on this vehicle, and he's just not coming up to this damn door with the 2 people inside of it. But you never know.
Hey! Put your hands up!
Now, for something like this, where they have been looking for this person. So this detective that is out wearing, the jeans and the vest, detectives don't go out working patrol, right? Like, they don't go out and stop cars for running stop signs and shit like that. So this detective was out and about looking for this person and had patrol with him as well. When they started to make this traffic stop, and then they failed to stop, rifles should have come out. Now, it's hard for me to dissect anything else going on in here because there's not a whole lot of footage. So I've seen Phoenix police cars with 2 officers in it. I think I've seen some that's just 1 officer in it. So I have no idea exactly how many people are here or anything like that. But let's say that one cruiser had 2 people in it and that there was a rifle in the front. During this pursuit, while this person is refusing to stop, that passenger should be getting that rifle out of the mount, slinging it, and charging that thing up. That way, when that pursuit comes to a stop, they can immediately dismount from the vehicle and have a rifle pointed at the threat. Rifles dominate gunfights all day long. Rifles are far more superior than pistols. They are more accurate and they have better terminal ballistics. They can very rapidly incapacitate a threat with fewer rounds. It may take 1 to 3 rounds to rapidly incapacitate a threat, whereas for a pistol, it may take 5 to 12 rounds, and it may not rapidly happen. Like I said, we don't have a whole lot of footage here, so it's really difficult to dissect what exactly is going on, how the pieces were, being moved on this chess piece, so to speak. So I can't like really complain a whole lot about rifles not coming out because I don't get to see the timeline of events occurring. And I don't even know for sure if they keep rifles in the front of the vehicle. It could be that the rifles are in the cargo hold of the vehicle. And they may not have time to be able to get those things out. So, can't complain too much, but I just want to talk about rifles because that is one of my biggest chief complaints is rifles. Now, this detective who is out potentially serving a warrant. I don't know if they had a warrant out for this guy or not, but the detective who was out actively looking for a person and wanted in some type of criminal case, he definitely should have had a rifle. This detective is not out looking for someone who did not pay their fucking parking tickets. Right? He's not out looking for someone who ran a stop sign or was caught speeding on one of those speeding cameras. No, this detective is here for a more serious criminal offense. And there's a good possibility that they have a good idea about who's involved in this criminal case. And as I said, I highly doubt that this is not this guy's first time being involved with police. I highly suspect that this is probably at least the 7th time this dude's been involved with the police. At least. So that detective who's out looking for these criminals for this vehicle who are involved in some type of higher level crime, that detective should have had a rifle in his vehicle and ready to deploy.
Hey, he's by the gun. Watch out. All right, keep it. He's got his gun to his head. Just step back over here, man.
All right, so we don't get to see what this guy physically does, but we hear the officer, after they shoot, they say he's near the gun. So that makes me think that this guy dropped the gun after they shot at him. And then he says he's got the gun to his head. So if he dropped the gun, then obviously he had to re-pick that gun up. Personally, the moment that he reached out for that gun should have been the moment this officer, who probably could see him better, should have fired again. He's already pointed a gun at someone. And if you shot at them and they fall down and they drop the gun and they reach for that gun again, chances are pretty high they're probably going to point it back at you again. Like I said, we can't see very clearly what's going on. But that's what I think. Even if he fell down and the gun did not leave his hand, it was still in his hand, just the mere act of him bringing that gun upwards should have prompted this officer to act. This officer should have responded by using deadly physical force against this guy.
He's got his gun to his head. We got a gunpoint. We got him right here, laying down. Let's just put out a 9982. We fired. Okay, we're gonna help you. Put the gun down. We will help you.
So you can see it is early in the morning. I guess temperatures there got kind of cold at night, and now as the sun's out, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Things are warming up, and these colder vehicles are you get that cold sweat condensation on them.
After the shooting, the man helped him involved. Man moving.
I think you can even see this guy's breath when he's breathing. Yeah, you can see his breath coming out. So it's obviously chilly enough to see that. And this guy's got short sleeves on too. And this ends up being 2 hours long. Or was it 2 or 3 hours that they had to sit with this fucking dude because he wanted to pull this bullshit. Now, if it warmed up, that's a different story. I don't know what the temperatures were that day. I have no idea. Don't care to look them up. But if it's cold enough where you see your breath, then 2 hours of being in a short sleeve like that, depending on your body type, that can get kind of cold after a while. So at some point, I would suspect that some people had to be switched out. And not so much for, the temperature stuff, but having your arms extended like this for 2 hours is not realistic. So you're going to have to switch people out of positions so that they can get some relief. Trying to hold your position like this for even 10 minutes, you feel it, and every minute past that, it gets fatiguing. It really does. Just a good full day of firearms training, or 2 days, you can feel that in your arms. And just trying to hold this stance for 2 hours is unrealistic. So, yeah, definitely he was going to have to be switched out, not just from that standpoint, but also from the possibility of it just being so damn cold outside. It looks like potentially whenever they fired around, I don't know, they showed a round hitting the other side of the vehicle, but we see that it looks like the mirror housing on the driver's side is broken off. So it could be this guy ran into it or something. I'm not 100% sure, but whoever this person's car this is, their car got a little fucked up. Now this guy does not have his body cam activated yet. It's still in buffer mode. He should have had the camera on during this incident. They're pursuing someone. They're out on foot. He should have had that camera activated long before it got to this point. Long before. So this is a failure on his part, in my opinion, not having his body camera activated. What if he had forgot to activate this thing when he did? Let's say he waited 30, 40 seconds longer, a minute longer. Well, he would have missed even more stuff to be included in this recording. What if the other officer forgot to turn their camera on? And we never got to see the footage of this guy pointing the gun at them. This guy could then say that he never pointed the gun at them and that they just shot him. And there would be no video evidence to say otherwise. The body cameras are good. They can help back you up and show that you're being truthful. So many times people will make shit up and say this happened, that happened, and when you roll the film back, what do you know? It didn't happen like that. And then those people's bullshit complaints, shoop, they go out the window. But without the video evidence, those complaints stay and they get investigated. And then it gets to the point where you can't prove or disprove it. And it stays like that. With the video evidence, it can be proven that what this people is complaining about did not happen. It can help exonerate you. It can help speed up the legal fight. So this guy and the other officer, they were involved in the physical fight. The suspect pointed the gun at them. They had to fight for their life at that point. Now that they fought for their life, now they're going to have to go through the legal fight. They're going to have to be investigated for why they shot someone. It is a general rule that it's bad to shoot people. But there is another rule that says there are justifications for doing that. Well, someone has to investigate that to see if the justification stuff holds up. Otherwise, you go back to the first rule where it says shooting people is a bad thing, right? The video evidence can help speed that process up and make it slam dunk. The absence of video prolongs it and in some circumstances, it can cast doubt over you. The public can have more doubt over the agency. Think about some of these incidents where there was no body cam footage. Here in Kentucky, Breonna Taylor up in Louisville. No body cam footage existed from that incident. Hell, there's some people up in Louisville who would lead you to believe that the police just walked in there and fucking put her down on her knees and executed her execution style. That's obviously not what happened, but there would be some who would fucking lead you to believe that. But there's no video footage to disprove it. The anti-police crowd up there has said all kinds of shit, but there's no video to disprove that. When you go to get out of the car, that is the time to turn the camera on. If you end up catching a bunch of frivolous bullshit on film that eats up 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 5 minutes there, oh well. That stuff can be, you can dock the camera, upload it, clear the camera. It's that simple. Doesn't take long. Just dock it, upload it, clear it, move on. I'd rather have a bunch of frivolous bullshit recordings than to miss a critical recording that could exonerate me. So anytime you go to get out of the car for anything, camera comes on. Even when you're in the car and you're going to something and you haven't got out of the car yet, there are times where you should probably go ahead and turn that camera on.
Alright. If you quick that got anybody else, we have Mr. Rick. You're my vehicle operator.
Members of the Special Assignments Unit arrived and negotiated with the man for approximately 3 hours until he dropped the gun and was detained.
3 hours. That's a long fucking time.
The man was taken to the hospital, but it was later determined he did not suffer any injuries from the shooting. The firearm used by the man was recovered. There was no evidence to show the man had fired the weapon.
Freaking Taurus.
A vehicle and a garage door were struck by police gunfire.
All right, so here's that passenger side of that vehicle that got struck. Okay, so this side did get hit. So you see a bullet hole right there. So yeah, this poor person, their fucking day got all kind of fucked up. And no telling what happened once the rounds went through the garage door itself. Who knows what it hit inside. But yeah, these people, they get bullet holes on the passenger side and the driver's side. Driver's side, you can see it hit right there, so it had to have hit the driver's side mirror, knocked that back housing off. Rounds went through the A post right there. And at the angle, who knows what this went into. And I don't know exactly what kind of vehicle this is or where everything's at inside the engine bay, but just because a round enters here doesn't mean that from the angle it didn't go in and hit something like the brake fluid reservoir, or go in and go through an air hose or some other hose, or hit a fuse box or something like that. Just one tiny little hole right there. You think, oh, that's nothing. You can have that replace this fender piece or whatever. There's lots of stuff in the engine bay that can be destroyed. In fact, you hit a fucking fuse box in there and destroy that damn thing. Those things aren't cheap. And that's not an easy, simple fix. Like, someone has to go in there, remove all that shit, rewire a new board in, and put all the new fuses in. Like, it's going to take a day to do that. Or heck, depending on the shop schedule and everything, it'd take them a few days to do it. Now this person is going to be a few days out without a damn car. And who knows what their insurance will do. Hell, insurance companies suck ass. They might fight them on it and not even provide them a rental. This looks like 3 bullet holes right here. I don't know how many rounds total were fired, but we for sure see 3 holes right here. And this one, I would say, is for sure a 4th round. Now this one right here, down here on the driver's side, it's plausible that the round went through here, exited, and then boom, hit right in there. That's plausible. This one, I'm going to say probably for sure terminated somewhere within the car. So at least for sure 4 shots fired, possibly 5 rounds fired. But I don't know that for sure. The suspect was hit 0 times. 0 fucking times. Unfortunately, this is a common thing with self-defense shootings. There are missed rounds in a gunfight. Some of it has to do with the fact that pistols are involved. Pistols are small weapons that got very short barrels, and you only have 2 points of contact on them. Your 2 hands. At distance, which the distance they were at was not that huge, but it's still a decent distance, the littlest amount of movement in the overall gun can throw your shot placement off. When you're up close, just merely pulling that trigger can cause the gun, depending if you're left-handed or right-handed, can cause that gun to move a little bit to the left or to the right, just by simply pulling the trigger. Will make that gun move. Up close, you don't see that whole lot of deviation, but you will see some deviation. As you add increments of distance, well, that deviation becomes more noticeable, and after a certain distance, you will be completely missing the target if you do not have good front sight focus and trigger control. Rifles have longer barrels, and they have more points of contact on them. With an AR, you've got your pistol grip for your dominant hand. You got the butt stock that goes into your shoulder, and then you press your cheek down into it. Your support hand goes up onto the forearm of the rifle. And then the sling, you can also use the elbow of your support hand to tension the sling in and really get that damn rifle more stabilized. So with that officer, the first one who fired, if he had had a rifle, I would say that most likely he would have had a higher hit probability than the detective with the pistol, or vice versa. If someone had a rifle, they would have been more likely to hit the guy because the rifle is just more accurate. So the equipment is one piece of the issue on why rounds are missed. The other issue is training, trigger time on the range. So agencies before the defund the police bullshit movement came about were already hurting in the budget. And now I don't know if Phoenix has suffered from the defund the police bullshit or not, but before or after, agencies hurt altogether on budget. They just don't get the money that they need. And so you don't have officers getting a lot of trigger time like they should. Now, there are some officers who are quote-unquote gun people, and they go shoot in their off time for fun. But those officers are few compared to the majority. There's a lot of cops out there who the only time they've ever touched a gun or shot a gun is when they were hired by their agency. Before that, they never owned a gun, never touched a gun. There's some cops out there that the only reason they even have a gun is because it was issued to them by their employer. And if they were to quit and go into some other career field, they would probably not ever own a gun past that point. That's unfortunate. That's kind of sad, but that is reality. So those people who are like that, they don't get out and shoot on their own. The only time they shoot is when their agency tells them to go shoot. Now, when you think about when an officer gets hired, they go through the academy. That academy process is probably the best firearms training they're ever going to get in their career, unless they move up into a SWAT team position or something like that. So they get hired, they go to the academy, they get about a week's worth of firearms training all across the board with pistol, shotgun, rifle, stuff like that. They'll do some force-on-force stuff, hopefully. And then once they get back to the agency, it's just qualification shoots after that. Maybe some in-service firearms training here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be qualification shooting. And that varies across the nation. Some people only do it once a year. Some people do it twice a year. Some people do it about 4 times a year. And qualification is not training at all. Qualification just means that you're on the range. You have to fire, 50, 100 rounds or something like that. Depends on where you're at. And you have to fire so many rounds from a standing position, two-handed. You got to fire so many rounds one-handed, fire so many rounds kneeling, and do these at different distances. And then there's no stress under it, nothing like that. And you fire these X amount of rounds, you score the target, and then the adjudicator of that course, the proctor of the course, whatever, they will look at that, score it, and say, okay, you meet this minimum standard that says you are now okay to be issued a gun and carry it at work. It's a very minimum standard. It's a pass or fail. And there can be some missed rounds on that target. It varies from state to state on how many rounds can be missed outside the target in the non-scoring zone. But there can be missed rounds, and the person still gets a pass because out of X amount of rounds they fired, they put X amount into the scoring zone and got a high enough score to get a passing score. There are some officers out there who are right at the line when it comes to passing and failing. Like the difference of one fucking round being in the score zone or outside the score zone is what allows them to keep a gun. The qualifications are not that hard. Like I said, they are a minimum standard. There are fucking Boy Scouts out there. There are Girl Scouts out there who can shoot better than some cops. Yeah. There's some fucking airsoft kids out there who can shoot better than some cops. So we got the equipment issue, and then we have the lack of training because agencies are poor. They don't have a whole lot of money. It's expensive to buy ammo, and especially now. Ammo is pretty high, and just the man hours on it. The overtime, putting people through more and more firearms training. It is expensive. So those are some contributing factors on why there are missed rounds in gunfights. It's not an excuse saying it's okay, but it's just kind of an explanation on how it happens. All right, so that's it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.